Hi, I'm Lynette Berg. My address is 2151 Hidden Creek Lane in Heber. I guess I have some questions. You talked about subdividing it. Do you have plans, and what were your plans for subdividing? I know just in your study session before you talked about needing maybe another middle school, or talking about that. I didn't know how much acreage is there. Could we use some of that for middle school, the part that's off of Main Street? And I mean, I don't know if you talked about purchasing, if there's enough there, even selling some commercial along Main Street to have it be a buffer to provide if you did do that. I just wondered, I guess that was my question. You didn't talk very much about that. And I love the idea. One of the things that was my favorite thing about the new high school is all of the things from the tradition from both high schools that went before. I love the idea of selling bricks or using them to build a patio. We talked about, heard those kind of ideas. I think that, I know Paul Sweat and the school board has done a wonderful job carrying on those traditions and knowing that it doesn't exist in the building, but it carries on because of the people. So that would be my questions. I wondered what your options were there.
Let me address some of it, and the board can help me with this. We have presented a concept to the Heber City Planning, just a concept, to subdivide the property and break it up into lots. Whether as a board or as a district we would try to market that individually, or if a developer would come in and say we'll buy it and market it, that could happen. And to your point, obviously we would, and help me out if I'm wrong, we would retain the rights of what particular businesses would go in there, especially being so close to other schools. Okay?
Those businesses are governed by the city ordinances and laws, and all of the real estate purchase contracts that the board has ever signed off has very specific things also in there, deterring distractions from the students and other things. And so, yeah, that's usually addressed whenever we sell property. And so all that, but any type of business actually goes under the city zoning laws, and they've been very sensitive.
As far as the possibility of putting another school at that location, the amount of acreage that we're selling is 9 acres. If we added it to some of the other acreage that we have there, I don't believe it would be big enough. But for me, when I first came on the board, I reviewed the study that was made for the new high school, and a group of people that had been gathered together to do a study and the feasibility of renovating it or all this. The number one concern from this study of the people who were involved in that committee was getting a school off Main Street and not having a school on Main Street. And so for me, there would obviously need to be a buffer. If there were a buffer, we had the appropriate acreage, then that could be a possibility. But for me, there would have to be a buffer, because I agree with that. For the safety of our children, I would not want a school on Main Street.
And
I'm just speaking
and
for
we
me.
did talk about that a little in our study session when I asked the size that would be needed to build an elementary is about 10 acres and larger for a middle, so that kind of gives you an idea about that. How much for middle? I'm sorry. 25.
20 to 25.
Are there any other comments?
Jeff Heftel, 487 Cobble Creek Lane in Heber City. Question would be, the purchase price is currently, I think, $4 million. Is that, am I still correct there?
Yeah, approximately. I think the listing price is, I want to say 3.8 or 3.9 million.
Right, okay. And then with demoing it, would that be added to the price of the current listing? Is that, how are you dealing with that kind of a cost versus raising the value of the property? Those kinds of questions as far as who absorbs that and who takes that on.
I don't know that we've specifically decided, once it's torn down, if we would raise, we haven't decided on whether we would raise the price or what that would be, but.
We just know from the appraisal that we had done on the property that it came back as 560,000. 590,000 worth more if the building were
gone.
We're gone.
Benefits there. So.
Can I answer part of that question? Again, in real estate, I think we'll have to see what the development buyers are willing to pay, and what the market bears as we move forward through this process. But the development concept allows that to happen a piece at a time, or the whole piece. And so that's part of the decisions the board will have to make as we move through the process.
But as we've done our due diligence, at least for me, it makes sense because it's been on the market for so long, and there have been people that have come that have said, I would like a chunk, but that whole big thing is just too much for me. So I think it's going to be more attractive to buyers with it being gone if we're able to sell it off in smaller chunks. But I guess that's still to be seen as well, I don't know.
The name is Fred Schloss, and the reason I walk slow is because I'm old, but I'm still active. And I believe that I have looked at that building, and I've talked to probably 50 people about the possible future of that building, and it does not include tearing it down. There's too much good there. And over the years, I watched as people talked about putting a school in there, and a school from out of the state or out of the country, as they've thought about utilizing it for some other project in the town. But over that period of time, the people that I've talked to have the vision, and I just haven't seen people that have had the vision that those of us that have talked about it have. And the vision is this, folks: you have the potential of making this town into a cowboy poetry headquarters of the world. And you have the potential of doing things here that it would bring in the crowds. I happen to have gone out in Kansas City. We have some friends out there, and I guess I better hurry up, my time's about gone. But anyway, I went to a Saturday night Nashville type activity, and I find that those people, that everybody goes to that. And this brought to mind something. Why don't we move ahead? Why don't we think about this before we start thinking about knocking the building down? And that is, let's bring those crowds in. How would you like to see a Saturday night program and a Friday night program, and also programs during the week in that building? And I'm talking about the cowboy type program, and I'm also talking about, there are so many of these antique roadshow things going on. How would you like to have an antique roadshow here every Saturday night? And you'd fill the building. I guarantee you'd fill the building. and people would bring all their antiques, and it would, and that could be one of the major deals. I'm not going to go too much further into this. I'm just going to tell you.
We'll need you to wrap it up, but thank you.
Yeah, this is what we've been thinking about, and then have a Western type program, like maybe Friday night, and then have some stores in there, and have all kinds of things that could promote this being that type of a town. That would bring a lot of money into this town, folks. But anyway, it needs, before you tear it down, that needs to be looked at again, and the people that I've talked to need to talk about it again. And it's very possible that would really bring a future, but that would put Heber City on the map. So I appreciate the opportunity to say this about it, because I believe the building has great potential, and there's parts of it that are not that old, and other things that could be taken care of. Thank you very much.